Oh,
Okay, so welcome, Joe.
thank you.
You're our participant today, and this is put on by All Abilities Advocacy.
Yep.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about podcasts. So Jody, I'll get you to do the welcome.
I would like to welcome everyone to the All Abilities Online. Today we are going to jump into today's session with the acknowledgement of country and self-advocate recognition.
And I'll do the acknowledgement of country because John's not here. So I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today. So for me, that's the Peek Wurrung people of the Gunditjmara Nation. I would also like to pay respect to elders past, present and future. Beck, did you want to do this one?
Yeah, Hans, give me a sec. I'm just trying to post links. Wait. Size standard. That's great. Yeah. We recognise the members of self-advocacy who have worked tirelessly over the years for the rights to live in the community and for equality and human rights for all.
Thanks, Beck.
You're welcome.
So I don't think anyone needs any introductions. We all know each other.
I never met any of you yet. I didn't even know I met Beck until I watched the video.
Well, it's great to have you here today, Joe.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's actually so rewarding to be here.
So we're going to jump right in. What is a podcast? Joe, do you know what a podcast is?
It's like a show, but it's actually on the internet for you to listen to.
Yeah, that's right. It's kind of like a radio show.
But it's sort of been formatted into another area.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, Joe, do you listen to podcasts?
I've never. The only thing I know about podcasts was Talking to God, a show that used to be on TV, and I have had a bit of a look at it, but I got no idea.
That's all right. So I know Jody listens to podcasts.
Yes.
Jody listens. What sort of podcasts do you like to listen to?
I like to listen to true crime, and I've started listening to Hamish and Andy. They used to be on the radio.
Yeah, cool.
And they used to have a show called The Caravan. They were traveling around Australia in the caravan.
Yep.
They were on TV.
So, Jody, this is your favourite podcast. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
This is actually about searching for the little boy called William Tyrrell who went missing 10 or so years ago.
Yeah, long time now, yeah.
And they actually have a podcast on, and they sort of talk about the new evidence they've found and who they suspect could have done it.
So that's a true crime podcast.
Yes, Joe.
What you were saying, what they're talking about, William Tyrrell on podcast, is that before we get it on the TV? Is that like it's there first, or is it?
No, it's usually after it happens.
Okay. So what's on TV, what we see, we also see that same thing on podcast.
It's not seeing, it's actually listening to it.
Oh, okay.
You listen to it.
Oh.
Like audio books are the same. They could make them into a podcast as well. Is that right,
okay.
Sandra?
Yeah, that's right. So podcasts are just audio, Joe.
Mm.
You just listen, like you might listen to a show on the radio.
Oh, okay. So it's not a video thing then?
No, it's not a video thing. It's just something you can listen to.
Okay.
So this is my favorite podcast, My Brother, and Me. It's a comedy one. They're all brothers and they do like an advice show. People email them questions asking for advice, and then they talk about the question and what the solution might be, but it's all done in like a comedy style. And
Oh,
I
so
like to
my
listen-
writing, oh, sorry, I'm just sort of thinking out loud here too and trying to bounce off. I can't help that. I try not to do it.
No, that's okay, Joe. You go ahead.
Hang on. Hang on, I've lost it. So my writing that I've done, like my what do you call it, 21st century of what's, of heaven and God and what's happened to the earth. I've got this thing started with my drawings. Then I've got a couple of poems. I've got one very intense one, and I mean, I've got heaps of stuff out there. So if I wanted to, I could record that onto the podcast, and then people will read it, listen to it. I mean, is that what
Yeah,
happened?
you could make your own podcast. We're going to talk about that in a little while, actually. So first, we're going to look at how you can listen to podcasts, and then
Yep.
we'll talk a little bit about how you can make your own. Because
I'm going to
that's
get a pen and
something.
paper because it's all going to get too far ahead with me. I'll just get a pen and paper.
Okay.
Keep going, I can hear you. So like I said, I can hear you.
Okay. So if you have an Apple phone, I think it comes preloaded with the Apple Podcasts app. And that's the little symbol we've got on the screen for the Apple Podcasts. And you can just use that app to search for podcasts or browse podcasts and listen to them on your phone. So Joe, do you have an Apple phone or do you have an Android phone?
I've got an Android phone. but I
Sorry,
can-
Jody, I was talking to Joe.
Oh, sorry.
That's
There's
okay.
Joe, Jody, Joanne, they're everywhere. I have an Android, but it's not even working.
Okay. Because if you want to listen to podcasts on Android,
Mm.
you go to the Google Play Store and you can download an app to listen to podcasts, which is called Google Podcasts.
Google podcast, yeah.
And then that way you can browse, you can search for one that you might have heard of. But there's another way you can listen to podcasts, which is on Spotify, the music app. So
Yeah, I got that.
Spotify is branching out into different sorts of audio content, not just music. So there's some podcasts that you can only listen to on Spotify. And Spotify, you can get the app on any sort of phone, whether it's an Apple phone or an Android phone.
Mm.
And you can also use Spotify on your computer.
Yeah, I've got Spotify.
Yeah.
I've been preferred to use that YouTube Music over Spotify. Can I do one on that?
I don't think YouTube Music has podcasts. It's Google Podcasts that has the podcasts.
Okay, I've got it written down anyway, so I'll have a bit of a look at it later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so I've got my head around it, let me work. So because I see things in totally different. So if with something familiar and it's video, it's YouTube. In comparison, podcast is similar but without the video.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got it.
You've got it, Joe. So Jody,
Well,
what
can
do
keep
you
doing
listen?
that?
Jody,
Yes,
what
yes,
do you
yes.
what do you use to listen to podcasts? Do you listen on
I-
your phone?
I've got it on my phone, and I also use it on my. I also listen it to on my laptop.
Cool. So you can use your phone or your computer. That's great. We're going to have a look at a couple of self-advocacy podcasts now. So this first one is Listen Able with Dylan Alcott, who's the famous tennis player, and another guy who I don't know anything about, but I am going to get it up on the computer and hopefully we can have a little listen.
My ex-husband, when he went into a chair, we went dancing, and that's exactly how we danced.
What was that, Joe?
My second husband, when he went into a chair, our youngest was only 8 months old at the time. That was our fourth, and I've got 6. And yeah, we used to go dancing. I said, "Why are we going to dance?" And we just danced just like that. You just brought back a memory. That was all.
Yeah, that's
Mm,
great.
mm.
So I've got Spotify up in my web browser here.
What's that called? Listenable.
Yeah, Listen Able. And we're just going to listen together to a little bit of one of the episodes of Listen Able.
Yep.
Hello to Instagram, hello to YouTube. As of course, we're an accessible podcast. You are probably watching this with captions below us. Hello and welcome. But if you are just listening to this, g'day, g'day. The bonus ode is where we cover some topics in the disability community, maybe that's caught our eye, something that's trending. And this one in particular is very fresh in our minds. As this episode goes to air, we have a new government a couple of weeks ago or a week ago.
Too. Anthony Albanese, the Labor Party got up. So they officially changed of government, which is, I mean, a lot of, you could have your own political stance on what you do. But one thing you will admit is it's going to be interesting because it's always great when new power comes in because, it can be great, can be bad, but at least some new things going to happen. And Labor did invent the NDIS. So I think there's some very excited people with disability that are ready for some change.
I want this episode to be like a time capsule, a moment in time as I read out the
6
Labor
points.
Party's points for what they're going to do different for people with disability and the community. So then that's now we're going to hold them to account as the things that were on the official Labor website for disability change.
I like it.
Quickly though, you have ScoMo's number. Do you have Albo's number?
Albo, and
You had Bill Shorten's number.
we had a chat a couple of days before he got, what does that say? A voicemail from?
You've literally got it as Albo.
It says Albo.
No, not bad.
So
You do have his number.
we were trying to chat before. I just want to say, best wishes and all the best. And if you end up getting up, look forward to doing some really good work together because there's a lot to do in the disability space, which you're about to read out.
Second question, ScoMo's number, does it remain the same? Do you know? Is it a government phone now that he's going to still be the member, I think, for Cook?
I think I had his personal number, so I imagine that was the same.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
Speaking of which,
Oh my God,
oh,
it's Albo.
it's actually Andy
Allen
Allen
from
from MasterChef.
Real name dropping session for me right now.
He planned that.
I think they're their personal numbers, but you know what? Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just lying to me.
Be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see.
Maybe we wait a couple of weeks and call the ScoMo number.
Pretty fun the next couple of weeks. Let's
Give a month? Okay, we'll give them 4 weeks. Let's get into the details of the Labor government and off their website, the Albanese Labor government will stop the Morrison government's unfair cuts to individual NDIS plans with an expert review that will guarantee plans are not unfairly cut.
So that was just a little taster of that podcast. So it's on Spotify. You can probably get it on other podcast apps as well. And like they mentioned, I think they're on YouTube as well. So you can listen to the episodes on YouTube. So I thought that was a good one for us to have a little listen to because it's all about disability and disability advocacy. But there's another one which both Becky and Jody have been involved with, which is VATChat, Voice at the Table Chat, which Joe, you went to Voice at the Table training with me, and we talked to one of the hosts of that chat, Warren, at one of the sessions. He came along and talked to us. And the other host of that chat is Anne, who did the training with us. So we're going to have a little listen to that chat as well.
Voice at the Table provides practical information to ensure people with a cognitive disability have a real and equal voice on boards, committees, and advisory groups. We do this by providing training for people with an acquired brain injury or intellectual disability and through a peer-led monthly meetup. We educate organisations and government departments to use inclusive meeting practices by providing training and resources. But most importantly, VAT tries to make the world a place where everyone is equal and can participate by being given supports they need to contribute the way they want. Our board is disability-led and our resources and training are co-produced and facilitated by people with a disability. Come check us out, voiceatthetable.com.au.
We gather together today on this special place to continue our learning journey together. We acknowledge the voice, Barung and Boom Barung people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of this land, and waters of the place where we are recording this podcast, and the sovereign has not been ceded. We acknowledge and pay respect to the elders, past and present, and emerging. We also pay respect to the First Nations who are listening.
We remember the self-advocates who have worked really, really hard over the years for the right for themselves and other people with disabilities too, and for the community and for equality and for human rights for all. Nothing about us without us.
Nothing about us without us.
Hi, I'm Warren,
Hi, I'm Anne.
and we're your co-presenters of
That chat.
Woohoo! Yay! So I'm a VAC graduate. I've completed the training and am a self-advocate, and an artist. And I'll be one of the co-presenters.
And I am a project worker at Voice the Table. And we are really, really lucky because we have been given this great opportunity to do this podcast about Voice of the Table's 10 top tips. And the top tips are really great things for people to use when they're having meetings. So
And
it's our
could be for
inclusive
any
meeting
meeting.
practice.
Yeah.
Yes,
Could be for any
any meeting.
Very much around that inclusive theme, trying to make everyone feel that they have something to contribute.
So that was VAT Chat, which is a pretty great podcast. I've listened to all of the first season of VAT Chat, and they interview Becky in one episode, and Jodie actually was interviewed today for VAT Chat. So if you keep an eye on VAT Chat, I'm sure they'll be publishing their interview with Jodie very soon. But we'll move on to something which I think is probably going to be interesting to you, Joe, which is about making your own podcast. So you don't need any sort of special equipment to make your own podcast. You can do it using a phone or a laptop. You just have to have some way of recording sound and connection to the internet. But I thought if people who are involved in All Abilities are interested in doing a podcast, we could talk to Freeway FM because they're the local community radio station, and they've got lots of really good high-tech recording equipment that maybe we could use to make a podcast. I know John is very interested in doing that, and Joe, it sounds like you might be interested as well. So I thought that's something we could look at together. That's the end of the presentation. Our next Tech Talk will be Wednesday, the 21st of September at 1:30 p.m. So a bit over a month away. And we're going to be talking about new features on Facebook next time. But Joe, the way All Abilities Online works is I have the capacity to do one-on-one work with you. If you're interested in learning more about technology, I could come and spend some time with you looking at different technology stuff. You're on mute, Joe.
I just realised, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was at the RSL, when we did the final of the voice of the open mic, and I was talking away, and there's a bit of a video there where I got a recommended encouragement award because we don't judge people, but it's actually in writing. Anyway, and I done really well, and I felt really good about it as well. And then I was talking to some of the staff and other people, and this one particular lady was talking to Nicole Putt, And anyway, we got chatting, and I said to us, I told her I was interested in the political side of things, because I could see outside the box and researched a lot, you know, look under every rock. And she said to me, no, you don't want to be a politician. You're too good for that. And it got me thinking. So maybe I should, you know, she said, you know, because that was me of just manifesting my first huge story, you know, that, so I was sort of all over the shop. But if that's what she's thinking, then maybe I might find my way through with you guys, familiar faces, and yeah, someone that we all understand and we're all on the same plate, you know, not just, yeah, I think. But I've got so many attributes. I've got so many, yeah, I would be a great asset if someone could work with me and give me a go. I would love that.
Well, yeah, let's make it happen, Joe. I think I've still got your number, so I can give you a call sometime.
Not at the moment, you can't.
Oh, you said your phone.
Oh no, what's happened is I had to buy a new phone, right? Eventually, I bought a new phone. I paid cash for it. I got it because this was before the motel business, we've worked out, it only works for 3 seasons. So your savings is gone, you know, and